Hi guys, you're welcome to another episode of Mailbox. On this episode of Mailbox, we'll be addressing different mails from different people from all over the world. My name once again is Adesho. Our first mail today is from Bongi. Bongi is from South Africa. Bongi said, should I stay or go? Just had a baby with my fiancé, but I checked his phone and saw him lying about me to his friends. He's been stealing my money. He also makes nasty jokes about my skin color. I'm honestly tired. Should I stay or leave? Hi, Bongi. We hear you, and I want to start from your concern, where you said, should I stay or leave? I'm honestly tired. So it means that for you to be tired, there will have been instances or different issues that has been arising in your relationship beyond this recent discovery that you just made with Bongi and the friend. Now, you said you guys already had a child together, and you checked his phone. He lies to his friend. He's been stealing your money. I think you should just face him with it and ask him. I think you guys really need to speak, because sincerely, in the journey of life and in relationship, there are 1,001 issues that would arise, that you guys would face that is even bigger than this. But I think the fundamental issue has to be addressed from the get-go, so that your relationship won't be a lie. Because you find out that sometimes different partners in different relationships lie about their partner. It could be the man in this case, it could be the woman in another case. But most times when people are with their friends, there's also tendency of them loose guarding or talking loosely, which of course I think is something that is important that you address with your relationship. The decision on whether to stay or to leave would solely be on you. It wouldn't be us advising you to stay or to leave, because you are the one wearing the shoe and you know where it hurts. But from what you've addressed, there are really fundamental issues that you need to address with your relationship. And genuinely, the guy might also genuinely ask for forgiveness and turn a new leaf. So it's now left for you to start observing him moving forward on how he's reacting or what he says and how he's behaving. You wouldn't want to just conclude based on what you hear or on what you see. You also want to sit him down and have some level of conversation. And before you make your decision, you have to be sure that the guy is not ready to bend the rules for you or come correct as far as his character is concerned. Because lying, stealing, saying nasty jokes are things that are very sensitive. So before you now start losing your own self-esteem, or before you now start feeling bad about yourself, I think it's just important that you sit him down and speak to him. So Bongi, I think we've been able to address your mail. Our second mail for this episode is from Kayode. Kayode is from Nigeria. Kayode says, my wife's best friend is crossing boundaries. My wife, Beatrice, introduced me to her best friend, Fred, before we got engaged. I kept telling her I was okay with her best friend being a man. I had no reason to doubt her, but lately, I started to feel uncomfortable with how close they've become. Am I overthinking it? Or should I speak up? I think, Kayode, for you to actually have a concern about it, I think you should speak up about it. Because if this thing is giving you a concern, you can't pretty much bottle up your feelings. So instead of you feeling disgruntled or feeling some type of way to your partner, which of course is your wife, you need to talk to her about your do's and don'ts, you know. So it's hard today, it could be you tomorrow. So you could actually meet someone that is also female, that at the end of the day you guys are closer. Would your wife advise you to leave the person? So I mean, and what we tell people, you know, relationship, one must know when not to cross the line. One must actually know the boundary. Once there's a relationship and you are the third person, I think it would just be important that you step back a bit, so that I mean, the most important thing they will need from you is your prayer, because the truth about the matter is, so some journey of relationship, it starts from maybe before marriage, you know, when you have both male and female friends. So most of those friendships, they are not friendship that you're picking when you're already married. So for relationships like that, and you know that genuinely there's really nothing in between you, immediately you discover that the woman is married or the man is also married, you as a friend, the only respect you can give to their relationship is to step back on certain things. So take for example, probably you guys eat together during lunch, you know, maybe sometimes, maybe most of events you guys are always together for events. Maybe you guys travel together. So there are some couple of things that even maybe conversations, you know, that you guys have together, you may begin to cut down a bit on it and make whatever conversation between both of you as neutral as possible. And I think it's also important that you remember them in the place of prayer. So keep praying for those couples. That's all they need from you. They do not need any form of disrespect. Once you see that the issue is going out of hand and it looks like one party is complaining of you being too close to their partner, I think you should just take a few steps back. So Kayode, I think I've been able to address your mail. This will take us our last mail on this episode. This is from Anita. Anita from Nigeria said, should I step in or mind my business? Hi, I was at an eatery today when I noticed the family, parents with their kids and a young girl helping them carry the baby. They brought treats for their children but completely ignored the girl assisting them. I really wanted to get something for her, but I was scared they might see it as disrespectful or start drama. Should I just mind my business or act on what I felt was right? Anita, so we've seen stories and instances like that where you see, I understand why your story is going to, like, there's been an unfair treatment between the family's children and the house help or house nurse or whatever the case may be. And this is it. First off, you trying to help them salvage the situation is not the solution because you're intruding. You would rather make more sense if you mind your business. However, in addressing this issue, we should also always know that being kind, being compassionate, you know, we can't stop overemphasizing all these attributes. It cuts across the spheres of life, whether it's to your children, whether it's to your help, whether it's to your neighbor. So, I mean, once we have all this character in place, it wouldn't be difficult for us to reach out to people. So you have a house help, or you have an assistant, or you have a worker, and you want to be treating them in some type of way. It's really not, it's not a godly character. So they've gone out to have lunch with their children and she's been left out, which of course, it really didn't make sense because it's the same food that the children are eating or they themselves are eating, that she should also be eating. And even if she's not eating that food, probably you want to package something for her as to go or as takeaway. So what I would advise is subsequently, when you see issues like that, all you can just do is to internally pray for them, because you can't even walk up to them to tell them, oh, why are you feeding your children and you're leaving this, because it will look like you're intruding. So pretty much the lesson that we will just take away from your story, because the deed has been done already, really, there's not so much of advice we can give you on this, but this is to speak to the public that attributes of God. We should be kind to people, we should be compassionate to people, we should be fair. You know, sometimes, especially when it has to do with extending grace to people, we shouldn't segregate. We should try as much as possible to take, because these people too, they are human and they are also from a home. So of course, it's important that we treat them right. And I'm sure if you start treating them right, even they too will see a reason to stay. And don't even forget that they are the one taking care of your children. So there are times that you are not even available, you are not at home. There are things you don't see. Sometimes they breed them, sometimes they feed them, sometimes they cook for them, and you're not there. So the implication is that you really by default need to treat them right, because the ripple effect, you also might not like it. You might say, oh, okay, you have the CCTVs or you have the control, but trust me, there are some subtle things that you don't even, I mean, we've seen a lot of stories. We've seen where nanny will poison their boss. We'll see where co-workers will do harm to them, and what have you, you know. So the only thing we can preach from this space, or that we can message, we can send out to the world, is that everybody should love their neighbor according to the command, you know. I mean, when the 10 commandments were brought to two, that love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your spirit, you know. And then the other one is like, love your neighbor as yourself. In loving your neighbor as yourself, it shows that you have to extend a hand of grace, help, be compassionate. When you need to be fair, be fair. When you need to say the truth, say the truth. And I pray God will help us. So Anita, pretty much I hope I've been able to address your mails. So that will be all for this episode of Mailbox. Till next time, my name is Adishun. God bless you.